welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
I'm
I'm
good.
doing good.
Okay, if you're watching this, it's being stupid. So if this is all choppy and stuff, I will just upload it tomorrow. But it's recording, so we're we're good on that. I don't know why this has to be done every week, but um, it is. So maybe I need to see if I can switch to fiber. But yeah. So this week we're doing something. We've kind of done this before, but 2000s, and we're going to be doing the Larry Sweeney versus Eddie Kingston feud, which I had not seen much of this at the time, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of, I would say, I don't know, kind of a forgotten classic, I'd say.
I would say that this is probably an under the radar kind of thing because I mean one of the people involved is well known now. One of the other person involved, not as well known.
I would say, unfortunately, one person is super famous now, and one person is more noted for how they died versus, like,
Yeah,
what
and
their actual...
yeah, that's the heartbreaking part is that it's it's one of those things where basically anybody who takes themselves out like that, it's gonna break my heart regardless.
Yeah.
And I was not familiar with this person, yeah, by reputation. I've honestly quit looking up new guys that I haven't watched before, so that I can try and on the show give them a fresh eye response to that sort of stuff.
Well, he's kind
But
of hard because, like, the problem is if you just watch matches, I don't think you get, like, the real Larry Sweeney experience, because I think he's much... I mean, this stuff, I thought his work was good in the bits we saw of it, but, like, I think if you just watched his work, you'd be like, he's okay. Like, it's really the promos where you get the like...
yeah, it really
I
shines through that way.
I didn't think he was a bad worker. Maybe just because of the time that he was in, like the aughts, like you had some very good workers. That was kind of like the heyday of Danielson, who obviously he did bigger things, but Danielson was really a breakout in the aughts. Samoa Joe,
Yeah.
AJ Styles, like you had a ton of guys who were like they were really like high and they still kept that level. And then Larry Sweeney, like his work, I don't think I not that I'm like an expert, but I didn't think his work was bad. I thought his work was perfectly fine. But he also was more like an old school throwback type of wrestler in an era where everyone was, for lack of a better way to put it, trying to be like spot monkeys, like doing a bunch of stuff. And that seeing on this show some of the stuff from the aughts, even from really good workers, there are sometimes matches that we've seen where I'm like we talked about the like the ring not that long ago, like the Ring of Honor uh Dragon Gate match, which was a good match, but people is like, oh, this like changed lives and probably was a highly influential match. And I watched it and it's like I liked it. But there's also some things I'm like, like they didn't have to do some of these flourishes, they didn't have to do this, or like, oh look, they're not really smelling there. And it's like I'm not trying to be like old man yelling at clouds, like a curmudgeon. I'm just saying like there are things now that it's like I feel in the odds, it was very exemplary of people did spots and sequences because they looked cool,
or they were expected.
Versus like that not that there was necessarily like this deeper psychology or really played into anything. And I feel sometimes looking back at that stuff in the years in the future or here now, I felt it hurts it to me. Yeah, it's all like a matter of like perspective and degree and your own personal preferences, because like I say, oh, it hurts it. It's like, well, yeah, maybe back in the day I would have been tempted to be like, oh my God, 5-star match. And then now I watch it,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I would agree because
no,
there's
it's like 4 stars maybe. It's 4-star. This match is
Yeah.
like 4 stars. Good, but there is also stuff I've seen from around that era or the early teens where I watch it and it's like, this is a good match, and I feel nothing about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Nothing.
There's been stuff
Good,
though when like we did
but
because we've actually done like a lot of aughts indie stuff this year, and I feel like a common thread I often have with it is like to go with what you're saying is like, oh, that was like a 24-minute match, and that could have been like a 12-minute match.
There's
I have that complaint a lot.
there's also in the course of what we watched tonight, there is a great example of it looks like somebody doing stuff just for the sake of doing stuff. There's it's not even very long, but there is a section where the now what phrase should I use? Fallen from grace, Quackenbush. You know, for what we saw in the match, he comes in there and it looks like he is just doing stuff for the sake of having stuff to do. It's like, I can do this cool move. And it's like, I do not care that you can do this quote unquote cool move at all. So it's, it's one of those. If we want to gripe about psychology, then the aughts is the time when, if you're going to gripe about psychology, that's the time to gripe about psychology, because it was this era where it seems like, I should say it that way, it seems like there were a lot of people who were wanting to do work rate stuff for the sake of doing work rate stuff.
It's an interesting feud because the bits of continuity throughout, like, I use a great bit of continuity that this has. So there is an early match in this where Larry Sweeney gets his pants pulled down in a match and his ass is hanging out. And it comes up later in a match, and it comes up later, like far later in a promo, where he brings it up. And I thought that was interesting because we could just kind of take. So what this is, the matches in this are clipped, which I thought I was going to be annoyed about, but actually it didn't bother me. I was shocked that the matches being clipped up didn't bother me because it didn't hurt things, because you still got like the finishes and I think the important bits. So what this is like a 90-minute YouTube video. If you look up Larry Sweeney versus Eddie Kingston, it's one of the first things that comes up. So what this does is kind of intersperses their promos together with the matches and takes you kind of all the way through, which I think is good because you kind of get to see what happens. So you kind of start off with some like Larry Sweeney stuff. And he has this segment called the Winner's Circle in Chikara, which I think is hilarious. And if he was still around, I wish if AEW did this, they put him in like the same shitty, like little bingo hall, like wedding singer, like corner that he's in, because I think it actually adds to it. 'Cause it's this horribly painted thing, and you can see like the chords and all that stuff. But
it's got wood paneling behind it,
But there's this early one he does where he kind of like, they do kind of like the Archie Bunker, he like flushes the toilet and comes out of the stall, and he like does this promo.
Oh yeah.
But I love he's like one of the first things he said is, and I know he did this on purpose, but it's hilarious. But he says like Magic McFuckface. But then there's a later part in the promo where he specifically goes out of his way to say butt instead of ass. And I'm like, I love that he did that because it's funny.
Yeah, I think it was only like 2 lines later.
Yeah.
This particular compilation, I think it would be fair to say that this compilation is meant to highlight Larry Sweeney, because you don't have near as much in the way of Eddie Kingston promos. You got some, but
Eddie's much
it's not
more,
the same.
I think that because like Kingston's, I mean, like Larry Sweeney's very like bold and like out there and in your face, and Kingston's are very like almost like self-reflective a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a point like after the first time he jumped him, and he's like kind of I think he's like sitting in the locker room or sitting behind like the building. He's like, kind of like, I always knew this moment was going to come for me. I've done this to like Mike Quackenbush. I've done this to like, Shane Storm. And he's like, I always knew this moment was going to come for me. And like, I didn't know if I was ready for it or not. Like, there's some really like good, like, you can kind of see the DNA of why he's such a good promo, because like you can see him doing it now. But so kind of where it starts is, so Larry Sweeney has this segment, and he's being Larry Sweeney about it, and he kind of like crosses some lines with Eddie Kingston over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a couple of scuffles and kind of like make up, but then so this kind of goes, my one problem with this is like it kind of goes between Chikara and this Canadian promotion UWA. So they're kind of like separate continuities, but they kind of cross over and are important to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
hold on, is it UWA or was it the International Wrestling Cartel?
No, it was UWA. International Wrestling
Okay.
Cartels in Pittsburgh.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and was UWA? I'm assuming that was the one where they regularly would hold shows in front of what looked like 25 people in like, I don't even know if you can call it like a gym. It's like just some building.
It's like a VFW hall or something.
Yeah,
and not a big one.
Yeah, it's small, and like I felt a little bad watching it, because I mean I've been to indie shows. I've never been to indie shows where it looks like that small of a crowd.
And I mean, this is like the aughts, and crowds were smaller back then.
They're giving their all. They're doing it. Yeah.
Look, it's better than some crowds I worked in front of. So
I think though we have to remember that crowds were smaller at shows in this era than they are now.
This was kind of where the industry as a whole was on a bit of a downswing, wasn't it?
Because you can be Joe
Okay.
Pissant with like your rinky dink like indie fed and draw like 300 people if you do it right now, and I don't think that was like quite the same possibility back in the day. But you have more avenues to advertise now too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not hating on the attendance. I know, I just noted because it's very visibly very small. But
I mean,
one thing
their one ECW arena show towards the end was not well attended. I think there might have been like 100 people there for Chikara, because I was like, I noted that because I'm like, damn, there's like no one here, and like less than 2 years later, they'll have 900 people packed into the same building. So it's interesting to see how they grew.
the one criticism I will give it, that wherever this was, VFW hall or whatever, but it was horribly mic'd, because when you had them, like Larry Sweeney cut promos, I messaged you guys, I'm like, I can't understand a damn thing that they're being said, because the audio is that bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I understand that there are sounds that one can interpret as human speech being uttered. I cannot make them out because it's just not mic'd well, and whatever recording equipment they had just did not pick it up, in my opinion. Like, if people can make it out and understand what was being said, like, more power to you. You have better audio qualities than I have. But
it was better when Chikara was in that bar that a lot of these were running, that they were running in like 2006. It got better when they did like backstage stuff. I thought it was largely fine.
Chikara, I mean, people can now, in retrospect, say what they will about Quackenbush and Chikara, at least towards the end. But Chikara was an overall well-run, well-done organization. And as an aside, we should probably do more Chikara stuff in the future. But as an aside, like, I've argued this point before, we've talked about it on the show. Like, there was a point, legitimately, in the aughts, maybe even edging into like the early.
No, it was 2008 to, I'm gonna say, the close down angle, which was 2012 or 2013. So there's like a good 4-year period where it was the best booked promotion in North America by far.
It was best book, yes. Like, it was a shockingly good promotion. And if you weren't there for it, you haven't seen it, like you perhaps don't get it. And people may, especially now with like how people are tribalistic about the WWE and AEW, or people who like want to scoff at Orange Cassidy and just act like he's just a gimmick, and have it basically act like the Orange Cassidy that debuted with AEW doing the
still the
hands in the like King of Slaw side is the same person that he was like 6 years later. And ignored all like the incredible like in-ring work that he's done, but whatever. I can see people like that being very anti Chikara, just because Chikara did have a lot of like wacky characters, but it was actually like a really well booked promotion with actually like good storylines and some intense stuff. So anyway, that's an aside. Like I can imagine. Yes, I could see the Chikara stuff was easily going to be
They had
better mic'd.
Some funny, goofy stuff, but that was not the entirety of the promotion. And as it turned out, the funny, goofy stuff was actually really funny.
Well,
so it got lots of play because it was actually really funny and not comedy writer funny kind of stuff.
And you have to treat so here's the thing with Chikara. If you're gonna watch Chikara, you cannot go into Chikara taking it seriously. You need to go in treating it like a comic book. And not like you would a normal promotion, and then you'll be fine. Have the proper expectations, and it'll be pretty decent.
So one of the how can I phrase this? The thing I knew about Larry Sweeney going into this, other than what you guys had told me, was the laugh from the Chikara video of that damn pause button. Because it was the bit because the Colony came out to Ants Marching by Dave Matthews Band, and it just stops, and you hear the cackle. And Brad had to tell me that was Larry Sweeney, and just hearing that laugh, it makes me smile every time, even if I'm not in the mood to laugh or anything. It still makes me happy to hear someone enjoy something that much. And then we get into this stuff, and it's like you guys had told me. I mean, Larry Sweeney was more than that. But my takeaway from this, going into it, I was trying to have a firm grip on my expectations and go, okay, I'm not going to go into this expecting wacky, goofy stuff. I'm going to go into this taking whatever it is you want to give to me, and see how well you do with that.
That's what I think works about this, especially with Sweeney, is like his goofiness accentuates like when he gets serious. Because like you start off and like his promos are kind of goofy and he's not like taking it super seriously, and then they run this angle at UWA where he kind of turns on Kingston, and then he does this promo in the bathroom afterwards, and it's the line I think that stuck with me. He's like, "What are you, my dad?" And then he like turns this corner. Because like he wasn't like taking it seriously, and he was just kind of having fun and crossing lines, and then he's just like, he's kind of like with King's like, well, who are you to tell me how to behave? Like, I'm, an adult. And that's kind of where it goes serious.
Yeah. It's it's one of those nice progressions.
Yeah. And they kind of what I like about this angle is they kind of throw a bit of everything in there. Like you have they do 2 strap matches, which I think are pretty good. There's a fireball involved. I really enjoyed, this is way later, but when Daisy Hayes did the fake ankle injury.
Yeah.
To sucker him in the Chikara match. It's also a brief moment, but I laughed so hard. So they were doing one match, I think it's when he gets hit by the car. But Ultramantis Black is on commentary with Hydra, and I just thought
Hmm.
that was hilarious.
Was Ultramantis Black healing it up on commentary through a lot of this?
He would sometimes, but like it depended. If it was just him, he wouldn't as much.
So early on in this, I heard there was whoever the commentator was, especially for some early stuff, was like the play-by-play guy as a heel, and I don't know if it was heel play-by-play guy or if it was the way he talked or both or whatever, but God, I wanted him to just shut up because it was driving me crazy. It was like your play-by-play guy being like, hey, Larry Sweeney's got to do what he's got to do to win, and then someone turns around and does the same. Well, that should be a fine. That should be, and I'm like, dude, stage this down first of all, because you're
a little over the top.
It was super try hard, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that it's under. I feel like it's become underappreciated, but that's what I always loved back in the day when you'd have like Bobby Heenan or Jess Ventura, but Bobby Heenan especially like as a heel and announcer, like he'd cheer on obviously the heels like cheating whatever, or he just or maybe not cheered on, he just kind of just like brush it off like that.
Yeah.
But when a face would do it, well, he would go apoplectic, but it worked, or Bobby would do the thing that I always love, where it's like he would be, cheating,
Mm-hmm.
and Gorilla Monsoon would be like, "Look at that!" And Bobby's like, "Oh, I can't see, my monitor went out." It's like, okay, it's like it's obviously ridiculous, but that actually works. He's not just, he's just he's figured out a comedic way to make it seem like, oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that heel doing anything nefarious. Like, come on.
Well, why the Hydra thing is hilarious. So if you don't know the character of Hydra, there is a point where he like starts wearing a muscle suit, and he would come out like, I'm not going to go to rehab. But so he doesn't speak; he just growls. So Ultramantis Black is doing commentary with Hydra, and sometimes you'll just hear this guy growl on commentary. And I just thought it was hilarious that they actually put Hydra on commentary.
Okay, yeah, that is funny.
He used to do. The guy that was Hydra also used to have a MySpace, and he would do vlogs every now and then, and the vlogs would just be like growl, 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 growl.
I remember seeing those.
Yeah. But so I think like I said, the Kingston ones are more subdued. They're kind of like reflective, I would say, of things.
Yeah. They're adding a lot of weight to this feud. That's not even the right way of putting it. They're a nice counterpoint because Larry is doing a lot of big, over the top, real big, real over the top, real bombastic, real loud promo stuff. And Kingston is providing this nice contrast wherein you're listening to the two of them, and Kingston's like, Larry, I'm gonna break you in half. I didn't want it to have to be this way, but this is what's come to. And it's like, that's always the person you watch out for. You see a fight getting ready to go down, the guy jumping around and screaming is gonna get wrecked. The guy who's calm and is telling you what's going to happen, that's the guy that is going to just destroy. And that's the role that Kingston seems to be playing in a lot of this.
Yeah, and I think what I enjoyed about this is, one, they didn't come off like they're cosplaying. Like, you can get that, especially in this era, you can get the real cosplay vibes off of people. But I also liked how personal it was. Like, they really established, like, they had a friendship, and they were like close, and they traveled together, and like they're both kind of broken up about it in their own ways. Like Sweeney's less admits to it less, but I also like in the general scheme of things, I like the lower stakes of it. They're not like wrestling ever. Who's the best wrestler ever, ever, ever? You know, kind of the meta-y stuff you can get, especially nowadays. In the last, like I'd say, 15 years, like the super meta stuff you can get.
Yeah.
Always like, oh yeah, these guys just kind of pissed each other off and they don't like each other anymore, so they're gonna beat each other up.
So it is a nice contrast. It's with it being such a personal conflict, that makes it a lot easier to roll into as well, because it's not some big bomb. It's, you son of a bitch, you know what you did to me? I'm going to knock your teeth out because of it. And it just makes it very easy to buy into.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to go to a spot that you kind of mentioned it before, but when Larry hits Eddie with his car, because I actually had to rewatch, like I rewound it. I'm like, how do they do that spot? If you first off, obviously the car is not moving, like it's slowly moving, but
yeah,
it was actually, I was actually impressed, because if you look, like Eddie gets hit, but in reality, like he jumps the car.
He
Like
kind of
jumps at the car in the
into it.
windshield. Yeah, dives into it. And I'm still like a little, I almost want to watch it again, yet again, and see exactly how they worked that spot.
He
Because
kind of, I'll tell you what he did, because I watched a couple times. He kind of dove in with his arms and bounced off the hood to make it make a big sound, and then he kind of like flopped off.
yeah, he flopped off, but I almost feel, first off, it's like I almost feel that when he did that, Larry must have like stomped on the brakes, so it didn't go forward.
Yeah.
And your eye is trained to really focus on, or at least not go forward fast. Like,
right.
Your eye is trained, like he got hit, like you're now focusing on Eddie. It's like it's like a common, almost like sleight of hand misdirection. Because then like the camera pans over to Eddie, and like the car, maybe at that point, when he sees Eddie's like off to the side, because that's another thing, like even when you do the spot, like how's he gonna take, he's gonna take the bump, but he needs to be clear of the tires, obviously. You're gonna do it. I mean, you could always like try and steer a little bit the other way to give him more space, but it was still impressive. And obviously the car didn't go like 100 more feet. It went like 5 more feet, maybe.
He kind of,
and again, the camera,
he kept like an angle to it too. And I have to say, it was a shitty car too. That made it better, but it was some reject from the 90s. But I thought that was an interesting angle. But I will say the one thing I did notice, because there's a point where they're kind of like by a truck, and it's Sweeney and Daisy Hayes, who had a very sad end to her wrestling career that I don't think we necessarily need to go into. But
I don't know actually the end.
She showed up to some Chikara event, like super drugged out looking, and that was like the end of her. She never appeared again.
Oh, I know, because I remember I was watching the Indies, and she was with Ring of Honor for a time, too. And that's why I actually wrote in my notes like a Daisy Hayes appearance. Like that's someone who, like, she's been out of the business probably like 15 years too.
Yeah,
at least. And she's someone who, in a different era, like she would have probably gotten like a contract. Like she was unique enough. It wasn't a bad worker, but I remember at the time, like
she showed.
I don't know anything.
She showed good instinct to what we saw of her.
Yeah, I don't know anything about substance abuse, but I know at one point they were commenting very heavily upon like her weight, and by that I mean not that she was heavy, that she was too skinny.
That's what she was super skinny the last time we saw her too, so that was kind of also like wow, she looks really drugged out, and she looks like she's lost even more weight.
Apparently,
I don't. Go ahead.
Apparently she retired October 2011.
Yeah, that's about when I. But even here, like, cause I remember that, and I'm like, damn, she's even kind of skinny, like really skinnier than I would think a worker should be.
Yeah. I am of the opinion, and it's not just because I was carrying extra weight on me. Still am. I'm of the opinion that if you are too ripped, then that's going to operate to your detriment. Um,
Yeah, because you lose flexibility, and then I think when you're too skinny, you just need you need something to absorb the shock, I think, of bumping.
to disperse it, because if you're one of those folks who is so fit that they don't have any extra body weight on you, then all of that impact is going straight to your muscles,
Yeah, and
Mm.
and they're going to tear.
and there's also we've talked about this before, but because it came up when I said Rock wasn't coming back, and then he showed up way slimmed down. I said, okay, I think he might come back now. But so
Yeah.
there's so I call it there's different types of muscles you can build. So you can build like because if you okay, so here's a great example. Look at like Mark Henry or a guy that does strongman contests, or those guys that do the lumberjack contests that are like really strong, and look
Hmm.
at like their body versus like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So like Arnold Schwarzenegger has a lot of show muscles, so they're very defined. He has low body fat, but he also doesn't have like a ton of flexibility. But then go over and watch like a guy in like a strongman contest, and he's
Hmm.
got like he's bulky, like some of them like almost look fat, like but they have a lot of muscle, but they have functional like athletic muscle.
Yeah. There's a big difference between your strongman look and the people who want to look strongman. Um, so it's that's the thing that's always. I remember whenever they first started putting those on, what was it, ESPN2 or something,
Yeah.
and looking at it and being like, "That's a big old boy." And I'm looking at all the competitors, and none of them are ripped. And I sat and thought about it for a while. I'm watching this, and then the thought finally occurs to me. It's like, well, of course they're not ripped. These are guys who are spending their time getting strong, not looking good. It's all practical,
Yeah.
and so they don't
If
care about that other stuff, and it makes a lot of sense.
if you look at David Boston in the NFL, this is 20 years ago now, but he got super into bodybuilding and he started getting like that ripped look, and it totally
Mhm.
fucked his career because he lost his like flexibility and all that
Mm.
stuff
Yeah,
because he was building his body wrong.
yeah.
We've we've talked before on the show, like Alexa Bliss, like was a fitness model back in
Hmm.
the day, and then she obviously became a wrestler, but she's had some really bad injuries, and it's like, yeah, because I don't feel like she has or has ever had like the frame for it, which is, again,
Yeah.
she might be like in great shape for an average person, but she's very like petite and very small, and some of the bumps that they like have had her do are asking, it's like I'm sorry, like I'm not trying to disparage her or anything like that, but I don't feel like her body is like been able to sustain like the
She's
bumps that
very
she's taken.
tiny
Just because,
too on top of it.
yeah, just like
Yeah.
I think some people like their physique is not really meant for,
Batista.
yeah. But Batista's like always been in great shape. Even now, like when he's lean, he's still like in good shape. But
Yeah.
yeah, some people just like it's not
He looks way
like
different
it's,
now though.
yeah.
Yeah. He's not bulky now,
Yeah.
but he got hurt all the time.
Well,
So,
Cornette talked about that when he was coming up, and he said, "Yeah, you're gonna get." He was actually pretty on the money for how long he's gonna last. He's like, "Yeah, this guy will be a big star, but don't expect to get more than like a couple years out of him because his body's not gonna
yeah.
take it." Because I mean, look at here's a great comparison to it, but like look at Brock Lesnar versus Batista, and like Lesnar has a much more functional athletic body than Batista did.
Hmm. Well, to tie this in with what we were talking about, if you look at Larry Sweeney in this, it irritated me because there was there was some guy who like, Larry, this is what a wrestler looks like, and he's doing this and he's holding open his vest basically because he's got abs, and he's thin, he's got abs, and I look at it and I'm like, dude, okay, but if you look at Larry Sweeney's, his shoulders and his arms and stuff are kind of built out,
Back too.
yeah, but he's not ripped, and you know what, that to me, I'm like, that looks more like a guy that I would worry about than that guy, because that guy starves himself and does push-ups all the time.
Larry was, I would actually say, like, he looked in great shape. Like,
Oh, yeah.
fantastic shape. And he's it again, such like a skewed perspective into business, because it is a very like, it's a meat industry basically. Like,
Yeah.
you could have a guy like, oh, look at this, like ripped, washboard abs, and visually, we've been trained to be like, oh, that's what like pro wrestlers should look like. And in reality, like Larry Sweeney is a guy that if you had taken him as he looked,
Yeah.
you could have a guy in better shape. You're like, oh, you're not a real pro wrestler. Look at you, like you don't have washboard abs. And it's like, meanwhile, if you took Larry Sweeney and put him in like the general population, almost everyone would be like, that guy's like a great shape. Like that
Yeah.
guy clearly like works out everything. He's definition. By the way, as an aside. Like did I ever tell the story in the show? Like I have a friend who we were having dinner with him and another mutual friend, and I don't know why we got talking about it, but he said like at one point he's like, yeah, like many years ago I had washboard abs, and me and my other friend were like, what? Like washboard abs? Like that's crazy. Like man, like what guy doesn't want washboard abs, right? Like how? Like that must have been awesome. And he's like, no. We're like, what? He's like, yeah, it was terrible. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, you have to work out all the time and you can't eat anything. Like to sustain the washboard abs, you got to work out many times a day, not just once. But like, oh, I'm gonna go for like a 30-minute run. It's like, no, you're working out a lot and you have a super restrictive diet.
And
so
I'll
the
say-
people who have like washboard abs, I know that there can be a genetic component to that, probably, but otherwise, like you're
There is a
eating
genetic.
really, you're really like restrictive and working out way more than a normal person has time to do in their day.
Yeah.
It is genetic, because they asked John Waltman once if he did steroids. He's like, yeah, I tried them. Didn't do a thing for me.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the other thing people don't realize, it sucks, because when I lost a bunch of weight, it's the one thing I wish someone had told me. You get cold all the time.
Yeah.
Like I used
Yeah.
to, when I first lost all the weight, like if we were in like a restaurant and the air conditioning was on, I would just shiver.
Yeah.
I would just sit there and shiver all the time until I got used to it. But yeah, you'll get cold all the time with no body fat. It could be 90 degrees out and you're going to be like, man, I am fucking cold.
Yep.
But I think the other thing with Larry Sweeney, though, and how he's built, and this is the thing wrestlers, especially in this era, weren't good at, and their gear wasn't good at. Larry Sweeney was very good at knowing what to wear to accentuate his body.
We didn't get to see it in a lot of the clips, but because from the clipped matches we got to see, he usually had the straps down by that point. But Larry Sweeney wore a singlet. And here's the thing. When Larry Sweeney, if he came out wearing a singlet, then you'd be like, dude, that guy's, rocking it. And whenever he takes the straps down, you can see he's solid around the abdomen. He's not ripped, but you know what? So what? It doesn't matter. But with the straps up, he's big, built out looking dude, and it looks great. And he wasn't just good at dressing to accentuate himself. He was also good at dressing to
Elicit a response.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, very much. And
I will say
Yeah.
they did set off a tiny little pet peeve when they were doing, like, him and Daisy were doing the promos. So they have Leonard Chikara come out, who he does a comic book podcast, and he was an announcer, and he's pretty good. But he's like the authority figure, and he walks over and he's just like towering over Sweeney. And like he goes to hand him something and his hand is like bigger than Larry Sweeney, and it's like
Yeah.
like, and Leonard was fine, but it's like it's a pet peeve of like sometimes you don't want your authority figure to be like a giant compared to the talent.
Hmm.
I was going to say, I think it depends on what kind of authority figure it is. The some authority figures, you want them to be big dudes so they're not pushed around. Some authority figures, you do want them to be smaller and that sort of thing, so that the heels have something to work with to try and push them around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then sometimes you just want them on par with who you've got, so that there's a parity and kind of this push pull going. Um, but if your authority figure outsizes most of your guys, and everyone's going to go, well, why isn't he in the ring?
Mm.
And I had a side comment since we are kind of talking about that era, because I often mock the guy in like the wife beater and the jean shorts, but I have to say, because I was watching, because he's in some of the later stuff, but I'm watching like, goddamn, like Shane Storm actually makes the jean short look work for him.
Oh yeah. I popped a little bit because you got to see Chikara's own Shane Storm
Yeah,
in some of this, at least one of the matches
he was in
there.
two. He was in
Yeah,
the Cybernetico, and then he was in the three-way follow up to that.
which I don't think we'd ever see it, but I would love if just randomly on like a collision or something, or maybe like you want to do like a 0 hour of like a pay-per-view
I
or
wonder.
something. I would love to see Tony Khan bring like the Cybernetico concept into AEW.
You need like a whole show devoted to it though, because those could go pretty
They
long.
can go long. Yeah.
I mean, do the AEW party matches kind of vibe in a similar way?
The Cybernetico
Um,
is much more of a lucha concept and how it
Right.
worked.
yeah.
I'm just saying for an American audience, do those party matches kind of do similar stuff?
Oh,
I've seen some Cyberneticos, but I don't feel like I have a good enough grasp to have an informed opinion about it.
Shane Storm only wrestled as Stigma. Stigma is his other character. He never wrestled without a mask that, or to how anyone would know. Because Stigma teamed up with Vin Gerard, who Vin Gerard owned. What was he? What did he buy in on? Is he with IWTV?
Yes. He like runs it.
Yeah, he. I like because yeah. So, but because there are like a crazy number of like cameos of people who know in this, like Bryce Remsburg, a very young Bryce Remsburg is in this.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
uh, Orange Cassidy as Fire Ant is in there. Claudio
Yeah.
and Chris Hero are in there. Hal Wicked, I don't think he ever like really shows up. But Ultramantis Black, if you know, he's on commentary a lot. I think there was a match Excalibur actually commentated in the middle.
There was a moment where we saw an Excalibur entrance for
But I
a
think
brief second, but
he did commentate one of them. It sounded like him. It sounded like a younger version of him. It might not have been, but like sometimes I couldn't tell. Like I could tell who Ultramantis Black is because he has a very distinctive voice. Like if you know what Ultramantis Black sounds like, he has kind of like a high pitched
okay.
voice. But yeah, because like with Chikara, if you don't know, like their commentary teams, they did settle with Leonard doing it, but like the guest announcer would change over time, so you would get like different people popping into like guest hosts and stuff. But it was interesting. I thought that they were sitting there like commentating because there was a couple times where the commentary table would play into things.
Yeah, some.
And I think it's interesting. Like I said, Larry Sweeney's promo style is very interesting because he really knows how to like go up in like intensity, and like he's not always like on. And Shad brought up he reminded of someone. I'm like, yeah, like there's certain points where his voice reminds me of someone, and it was driving me nuts for hours. And then I listened to it. I was kind of like, oh my god, it's Tom Pritchard. I went and like listened to a couple promos. I'm like, yes, this is the exact same delivery when he gets worked up as Tom Pritchard. And their voices can
It's
sound really similar.
One of those that I was listening. I can't remember which promo it was, but he starts saying something. He's hitting some really hard consonant sounds somewhere, and I'm like, where do I know that from? I know it from some. Where do I know this from? And that's why I had to say, because I could not figure it out. So.
And so they do 2 strap matches. So the first one ends because Sweeney hits Kingston with a fireball, which I was really excited about because I'm like, yes, this feud has everything. And they even brought it up for the Cybernetico like a couple nights later because he's like, you burned my face, and he just put like a bandage there, but it was pretty good. And then they did the Daisy Hayes like, oh my god, I broke my ankle, like haha, just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do the second strap match in Chikara, which that one Eddie wins because he uses brass knuckles.
Yeah. Well, and that is just straight up payback for stuff that Larry Sweeney had done previously. So
I had like a comment. I forget, maybe it was the one that Eddie won. Or actually maybe it was the one that Larry won. I forget which one. But the strap, I'm like, what is the strap? Because it did not look like, the nice like leather strap that you always see them use. I wrote like, it looks, if you're in like a places like in the line, like especially like an airport, they have those like poles, and they have like the stretchy like nylon like thing that you put from pole, then it clips into like the other pole.
I was thinking that might have been an athletic commission thing.
All I know is that's what it looked like to me. I'm like, what is this like long ass like strap made of like nylon that they're like using? It did not look like. I want a strap that's like a nice leather thing that it's like you can whip somebody with it.
They did get a good noise out of it when they were using it.
I don't know. It did not look impressive to me.
I was wondering if that was like an athletic commission thing where it was like, see, we put it in this thing because then it won't cut people and blah blah blah.
It was a what it was is that's a woven nylon towing strap.
Okay.
And I know this because there have been times in my life where we have broken one of those trying to tow something out of a spot. So I see it. Now here's the thing. Those are they're pretty wide. They're wider than my palm is. They're flat. They're woven, they're stitched on the side so they don't unravel. And you could probably get a pretty decent sound out of it. I mean, it's not going to thwack like leather will. But if the idea is we need something for a strap match, and it's like, well, this is what we got. Honestly, I'm of the opinion it works.
I honestly would have rather they gone to like Home Depot or something and just get like some nylon rope, like just some rope, like ski rope, whatever, like that. Like that would have been like still been low rent, but it's kind of like at least like I would have felt like that's something more. But I don't know.
I think.
By the way, Chad, whenever my dad would do things, he had chains. He just like towed the chain.
How can I best phrase this? My dad wasn't going to spend the money on chains. It was it was so odd because my dad would recognize the importance of, it's like, you need to get something quality, but then it would be weird about how he would cheap out. on on what he would cheap out on, and I'm like, oh. Now the other side to it with chain is that there was a time growing up that I went and spent a couple of weeks or a week with my grandfather on his farm, and we snapped the chain trying to pull something up with his tractor. So it's like, I'm of the opinion that trying to tow something can break no matter what it is.
Yeah,
That's true.
I don't care if it was, I don't care if it's Professor Peabody's probably impervious, pulling strap. You can probably break that.
I was gonna make a joke about Ron Wright showing up with a Walmart bag with his chain in it for you.
Wait a minute. I had my chain around here somewhere. What did I do with it?
I liked how
Where's my
they.
chain?
It did remind me.
Where's
I
my
was
chain?
thinking when they were doing the strap matches, but I was thinking about like, I really like the way the Dirty White Boy and Tracy Smothers did the one where like he kind of was like he would do like the hangman with him, and then Smothers was hitting the posts as he was going, and then like got around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vectron. I think I'd rather snap one of those toe things instead of a chain and not have like pieces of metal flying every which way.
Well, yeah, you gotta, in fairness, yes, like you'd have to be way clear of a chain because you don't want that whipping around and like hitting any part of you.
Because when I worked
that's a potentially lethal injury.
When I worked at Walmart, because you would have like pretty much you would have a baler for all the cardboard. And I heard some horrific stories about like catastrophic leg injuries from one of those snapping open and someone getting hit with the wire.
Yeah. Full disclosure, breaking the chain thing, we didn't snap it and it goes everywhere. I don't know what it was. There was some kind of spike that was in the ground, and my grandpa was like, "Okay, we need to get rid of this because this could puncture a tire or something like that." Okay. So he took a logging chain and he hooked it to the hitch on the tractor, and then he took a link and looped it around whatever it was in the ground, and then he took a mallet to drive it down around the loop so it wouldn't slip off the end. And he had me sitting up on the tractor. He goes, "Okay, give it slow, give it slow." And so I was doing it slow because that's what he told me to do. It didn't snap, but what it did is it took the link and like opened the weld of the link, like pulled the weld apart. And when we stopped, it's just like it's like trying, and then he goes, stop, and I have already stopped because I was listening for him. And I go, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" He goes, "Back it up a little bit." And he says, "Come down here, let me show you something." And he picks up from where it had been on there and holds it up. And the weld of the chain has pulled apart like this, where it was around it. So it didn't snap, but I was like, "Okay, what are we going to do with this?" And so he took an old tire and dropped it right there. He goes, "That'll do for now. Let's go do something else."
So Shad, this is I know you know who Larry Sweeney was before this, but this is probably the first time you've actually like seen him. So what were you expecting versus what you got?
I was trying to go into this without expectation. I didn't, because my thing was, if I went into this with an expectation, I was worried that I would ruin what it was I was going to see. Right? I've done that before. So
because like you can go in sometimes with like an expectation and it's not that, and then you're disappointed even though it's not bad. It's just not what you thought.
Yeah. So I went in and I start watching this, and I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing a little bit of silly. Okay, cool. Like when it comes to Chikara, I can't help but laugh because one of the things in Chikara I remember that made me laugh so much, like the invisible grenade made me laugh because obviously it's a joke. We roll with it, but I think it was Chuck Taylor and Archibald Peck are having a match, and there's a painting on the wall, like a big mural of this lake, and Chuck goes, "I'm gonna drown him," and grabs him and hucks him at this, and Peck hits it and goes, "Oh!" And he goes, "I didn't do what I thought it would." Like, I was in tears the first time I saw that. And it's this idea of course, there was also one where someone, "I'm going to drown him," and he was like raking his face across something similar, and the guy's going, burbling like he's in water or something. Okay. I know it's silly. But damn it, sometimes you just need to laugh. And I didn't want to expect that was what Larry was going to do, because like a character who is an absolute cuckoo lander going up against Eddie Kingston could be interesting, but I was like, let's not go in assuming that's what it's going to be. And like I said, Larry kind of started being silly, and then he started being a habitual line stepper, and then when Eddie got after him, he gets pissy, and then I leaned back and I was like, damn, he's good. You know, even if his promos had a lot of the same structure or gimmick behind it. Like, he had 2 or 3 where he went to go talk to Mama Sweeney about it. And Mama Sweeney's like, you're going to take that piece of trash that's defiled our home and you're going to tell him what's what. And that happened like 2 or 3 times. But I kind of chalk that up to I didn't think they were in the same promotion. So he's like, yeah, I can reverse that.
And in this era too, like a lot of this is being seen via like DVD, so you would probably like redo it a couple times because you probably don't expect someone to buy every DVD too.
Yeah, that I actually figured that was part of it. It's like this is potentially happening kind of across promotions.
Yeah.
And not necessarily with the same type of continuity. It's not like, oh, you saw Chikara, now it's happening. It's like, no. It's almost like the territory days where it's like, something, maybe these guys work together, in Memphis, and then now they've moved on, but then they're going to redo the feud, sometime later in, like, I don't know, Detroit. Like, it's like maybe they kind of redo the same thing, so it's kind of like some of the same stuff. But back in the day, it's like, and it wasn't like it is now with streaming, in the odds. Or like,
where you
it
can
was
pay $10
DVDs
and see everything.
Yeah, the technology just did not exist at that point. It was, if it did, it was very much in its infancy. It was not something that was very common. So yeah, like that's how I took that. Like I gave a little grace. For, like, maybe reusing some of the same stuff at the same time, contemporaneously. And now if it was like this is a feud that lasted a year, then like the year mark, he's still cutting the same promo. It's like, well, but that wasn't quite the case.
Yeah, and it was like these shows were. I think Chikara was running like monthly. If it wasn't running monthly, you got 3 shows for King of Trios, which is a 3-night deal. So you maybe some months got 2, but this was usually like a monthly promotion. So like,
I felt Chikara, their schedule was basically like they would do 2 nights, but it would be like monthly. So it's like you'd have like 1 weekend out of the month generally.
Yeah.
Where it would be usually like you'd run 2 shows. Which,
you'd run like
maybe that
Saturday night, Sunday afternoon would be kind of like what they do.
Yeah.
That's nice of them. Cuts down on your.
I know when I went
transit and that sort of stuff.
When I went, it was 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I also think with his funniness too, like it kind of disarms you at first, and then like it helps his character evolution within the feud, because at first you're kind of like, well, this guy's just a goof, and then it like when he starts seriousing up, you're kind of like, oh, okay, like he's got more going. And I really want I need to see if you can still get it, but I really want his takeoff of the Randy Savage shirt with the sweet and sour. That shirt was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
You mentioned like the shirt before the show, and I actually was looking online a little while ago trying to see like, oh, can I buy this? Like, is it available? I haven't checked Pro Wrestling Tees. I don't know if they would still
Yeah.
have it.
I don't either.
I'm watching this whole thing, and I just I see, especially for the promos. Okay, the matches. Don't get me wrong. He's good, but these promos are things that on a national stage would absolutely hook people, because it's not just that he has the energy. He's mixing substance in with it very, very well. And okay, I don't know if Kingston was doing what we might classically call Eddie Kingston promos at the time, but if he was, I can see why he shifted to the quieter, contemplative ones, because Larry and Eddie, it's they're not the same book, but they're on the same shelf in terms of promo style, is kind of how it seems to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think
yeah.
I know Matt and I have kind of said it on the show off and on here and there. I don't think we've ever had like a huge discussion, but I think we've both said from here and there that like Larry Sweeney probably is one of the biggest like what ifs of like modern wrestling, because what if he was still alive and in AEW? Like, I don't think he would be a wrestler. I think he'd be a manager at this point, especially on a bigger stage. But I do think like he would possibly be a difference maker. Because then he was in Ring of Honor, and he was largely a manager in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't feel like he was a bad worker, but you also have to like
I would say it's not
it's very
his. It's not his. I would say he's like above average as a worker, but it's not his strength. Like if you have like
yeah.
if you're like a company like let's say WWE or AEW, and you have this large roster, but you're like looking at him, you're like, well, this guy can talk. Like I don't really like, I don't think he'll ever do much for us with his wrestling, but I could do something with his
He
promo ability.
Larry unfortunately passed away many years ago. I think we just hit the
2010, 2011.
2011. We just hit, I think, the 15-year
Yeah.
anniversary. So it's been a long time, but if he had survived, like I could have seen him potentially getting signed by the WWE, but he would have been he was like 5'9", 180 pounds. Like he absolutely, given his size, would have been a guy that would have debuted in NXT, gotten really over, and was then in NXT for like 5-6 years, and never moved up to the main roster. And if he ever did go to the main roster, it'd be like as a manager, like they would have neutered him, and then he's gone in like 6 months. I think that if he had survived to AEW, by the time AEW rolled around, like he would have been pushing 40. Like basically, like he died when he was 30. Been 15 years since. He'd be in his mid 40s now. So yeah, like would he be in ring? Like no, he'd probably not be in ring. He'd probably be like a manager, or he could have been like a commentator.
He might wrestle sometimes.
Yeah, but he would have been absolutely an on-air talent. And like look, a guy like Don Callis makes it work. Like you absolutely could have made Larry Sweeney. Like he just was charismatic enough, was a good enough promo, good enough talker. Like he could have actually been like a real big somebody in AEW. WWE, like again, I feel like he would have done great in NXT. They would not have got him on the main roster.
I think what would have happened on the main roster is once you started handing him scripts, I think he would have been fine delivering their horse shit, but like it just would have new because they're running into that issue with Danhausen now, where they're just giving Danhausen absolute garbage segments to work with, and like Danhausen is really trying, and he kind of makes it work, but it's it's also not as good as it could be if you just let him do.
Yeah, if you just
Yeah,
left him alone,
yeah.
it's yeah. I think from what I've seen, he would have chafed under those uh, restrictions. But the idea that amused me when I pondered on it, let's just say that Larry Sweeney was still around. Larry Sweeney running a less competent little brother version of the Don Callis family would have probably cracked me up. Because here he is, he's like, no, 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 this is Sweet and Sour Enterprises, and we've got these fantastic up and comers that you all didn't see what was coming. And, you know, he's cutting a promo at ringside about it, and he's got his back to the ring, or he's talking to that, and whoever it is that he's managing, ah, God,
He probably would have managed the Dark Order, honestly,
well,
because
hang on.
Brody Lee was one of his guys in ROH.
Well, as the acolyte for Brody Lee, like heralding his coming would have been really
Yeah.
cool too. But you know, he's standing there, he's like, "No, Sweet and Sour Enterprises and all the," and behind him, his guy is just getting the absolute crap kicked out of him in the ring while Larry's talking about how great this up and comer is. I could just visualize that happening, and I. It really does. It makes me sad to think about what that could have been.
Well, especially after watching this, because I watched this and I was like, God damn, this is like, this might have been like one of the best feuds of like the aughts when I like was done watching it. From what I remember, because I was like, they really pulled off like the old school personal issue thing that I think you don't get enough anymore. Like I said, it was, I don't want to say low stakes because that sounds like I'm kind of like shitting on it, but I mean like they weren't fighting over some meta thing like who's the best wrestler or a title. It was just hey, like I kind of hate your face and I want to punch it is kind of what the feud ended up turning into.
It's a very personal conflict that is very easy to identify with because everybody has had someone in their life where you just look at me like, you son of a bitch. You look over and it's the bitch eating crackers thing. Look at that son of a bitch over there eating crackers. You know, you can't stand to be in the same zip code as this person. And it's just like, no, no, we're gonna fight. Everybody's had someone like that in their life. And to just this happens and it started because Larry was a habitual line stepper and Eddie wasn't having it, and it blows up from there. It's like, you know, yeah, it's not just relatable, it's identifiable, and it's very easy to see yourself in that spot, being like, yeah, oh, get him, King, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, don't ask me how I found this. I just happened across it and I started watching. I'm like, oh, like I have to put this in for the show because this is something.
So whenever Fred sent it, he's like, Larry Sweeney versus Eddie Kingston. I'm like, Larry Sweeney, Eddie Kingston match, cool. And then I clicked on it, I'm like, son of a bitch. He sent me an hour and a half.
No, it was the whole feud.
Yeah, I know.
Which I'm glad we did it because I was just like, I would have probably seen a bit of this in Chikara, but like I said, I didn't watch like every Chikara show at the time, and I would have missed this because when I started getting Chikara on the regular, it was about 2007 because that's when I was like starting to work for like career wages that I could afford to. Because the thing people don't realize is back in 2007, like to get a DVD of a show was $20.
Yeah, and that was a lot more at the time.
Yeah, like cost of inflation, like back in the day, like $20 is not $20 now. Like $20 nowadays, not that I'm saying it's like an inexpensive like amount of money, but you're talking about lot more back in the day. That's more like you're paying $30 or more for like a
One in the
DVD.
wrestling landscape too, the idea of paying $20 for one show that isn't like a pay-per-view also is kind of
Mhm.
like a foreign concept to like newer fans.
And you're not sure whether you'd like it or not.
Yeah. And then
I
they went down, what were they? Cuz when I started getting like every show was was around high noon, but then the DVDs were like 12ish dollars maybe. Or like if you bought like 3, it went from like 15 to 12, so I would buy them in like sets of 3 maybe.
yeah, and High Noon had that had that had that Kingston promo with it. That I will crawl on my hands and knees to be there for High Noon. It's just like, yeah, yeah. Anybody ever want to doubt, the power of Eddie Kingston? This is probably the best example to give to him.
Yeah. Like I said, this is great. It's on YouTube, it's easy to find. I would recommend watching it. You don't have to watch it all in one go. It's pretty easy to digest. Like I was actually shocked how quick it went by.
It did. I had to spread this out, but it did surprise me at how quickly it clipped on.
Yeah. And
I know you.
oh, go
I
ahead.
know, Brad. You had said like you didn't. The clips didn't bother you. It didn't bother me. But at the same time, like I also kind of like, ah, man, I kind of want to see this whole match. Like
Yeah.
I want to see it because I obviously like I'm a longtime fan of like Eddie Kingston, but I really enjoyed stuff with Sweeney. I mean, I guess the good thing in some respects is that this this footage is kind of out there, but it might be a little difficult to actually obtain some of it. If it's like on Chikara, it's like,
Yeah,
well,
that's
no,
all
like
on
Chikara.
IW. You could just sign up for IWTV. All the Chikara shows are on there.
Does Chikara still have like a streaming service they used to back in the day?
No, I think they're all.
You
I
don't.
think they all moved it over to IWTV.
I see.
I could see if the Chikara one, Chikaratopia is what it was called, because I was signed up for that for a while because you would get like the new shows live sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, I do. There's one thing though with Ultramanus Black that I did like during the Cybernetico, and Larry Sweeney gets disqualified for low blowing him, and Ultramantis Black is just like he was just trying to roll him up.
Hmm.
I was like,
See,
oh, that is
I,
like a
I
funny
appreciate
exchange.
that kind of healing, but
Well, Ultramanus Black was very evil. You have to understand, Shad.
I'm starting to wonder if Ultramanus Black was the commentator that was irritating me.
He might have been because the higher pitched voice guy was him.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe so.
His
Getting right around there.
his like backstage promos are hilarious, like with him and Hydra and Crossbones, because they were the
Hey,
Order of the Neo Solar Temple.
Mm.
They had a lot of antics
okay.
because they were like a comedy stable mostly. He still wrestles every great once in a while, but I think he's mostly like a regional guy.
I
That's
uh I actually was just I was looking it up on Cage Match just to comment, but he he's first off he's 50. Like he's a lot older than you think he
Who
is.
Ultramantis Black?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
shock me.
looking at the last, I'll say year and a half, so like 2025 and this year he's only wrestled like 3 times, but generally like between last year and a half, he's wrestling roughly every like once a month or
He
so,
stays around
which is
PA, I think.
yeah, which is not like a lot, obviously, but I saw a clip from what like someone posted like a photo of him recently. Recently, I mean like last like few months. of like I guess before one of these indie shows, and the dude is like ripped. He's like in fantastic
Oh,
shape. I think he's like vegan.
he's always been in good
Yeah,
shape.
I think he's like vegan in real life, but he's still like he's clearly like kept himself in like really great shape. And which trust me, as a guy in his 40s, like the fact that he's 50 and like still in like ripped, like great shape, I'm like, I am envious of you. But then again, I do like carbs a lot. You know, I enjoy my bread and
And he's vegan, it's hard to avoid carbs, so
Yeah.
even more impressive.
I mean, what was it? Someone in chat said, "Have you tried stuffed crust pizza?"
Yeah.
pretty
Well,
great.
the problem is like the problem is with vegan is like it's like well you can't have animal products, but you know what you can have? You can have soy and carbs, things that are terrible for you.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah,
uh,
I had a friend who we knew someone like mutually who was vegan, and this person was very like heavy set.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was like, "How is this person like heavy set when they're vegan?" I'm like, "Are you aware like how much processed food that
Yeah.
vegans eat? And also, did you know that you can make vegan cakes? Like you can make cake vegan. Like it's not that hard to eat like a lot of calories. Like
Yeah, because
I'm not even hating. I'm not even hating. There's a vegan bakery down the street from me. It's really good. But it's like, yeah,
well,
I mean,
I knew someone that was like thinking about doing it, and they're diabetic, and I'm like, no, you can't be a vegan and diabetic. Like it'll literally kill you.
no, it's bad. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
a
There's
lot of
carbs.
people, a lot of people have to stop being vegan because they get diabetes from it. Because here's the thing: speaking as someone that manages their diabetes, the thing people think when you're diabetic, what you have to avoid is sugar, which you should go lower sugar, but carbs is really what fucks you as a diabetic. Carbs are like the worst thing for you.
Yeah.
Matt, you just dropped one of the best lines.
I
Just,
really got you that
you
one.
did.
Apparently.
Just,
It's true.
well,
Like
you know, there's vegan cake, right?
Yeah.
a lot of vegan baked products, and
Oh
I've enjoyed some
God.
of them.
Because
Like
Oh
so,
I will
God.
say
not
like
hating.
Okay.
I will say like because I've done
Oh,
it. I've lost
it's amazing.
43 pounds this year, and I've just eaten a lot of protein. Like I do the opposite. I'm like, no, I get more I get turned into more of a carnivore when I need to lose weight because it's really easy to
Yeah.
Oh, some
eat
of
beans
those.
and meat and
Yeah,
drop.
some of those like diets are almost like fad diets, the carnivore diet or like keto, whatever like that. Like, well, some of it actually does work because
It's staying
like
on
if you
it that's
just
the problem. Because you can lose weight
if you
doing anything. Well, what do you do when you have to eat like a normal person again?
Yeah.
Then
if
it's
you
not
eat a lot of like
sustainable.
protein and good fats, like you will probably lean out. And there's many different reasons why. I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't like, give you like all the but a big part of it is like when you eat a lot of protein or some lean fats, which are also good source of protein, like cheese. Like if I'm trying to like lose some weight, like obviously I'll cut like carbs and sugar,
Yeah.
and I will replace that with eating like protein or even some fats, like good fat, like cheese. Like I hungry in the afternoon, it's like oh let me eat like a
Yeah.
some cheese,
My
and that's high fat, but it fills you up, and then you tend to not snack or overeat because I'm already full with like the protein or the fat. I had a book that the which ironically I think is because I heard a podcast that Brian Alvarez did with the author, but it's the Big Fat Secret, and the argument that this person made was that it was our food pyramids all screwed up
It is
back in
because
the day.
it's upside down because
Yeah,
it was to promote. I think it's to promote corn, if I'm being honest. But like so, the reason the food pyramid is wrong is so really people shouldn't eat a ton of carbs and they have you just loading up on carbs all day. Like you should be eating
yeah,
a lot of meat and leafy vegetables, pretty much is
yeah,
how.
and
Because Dr. Steve's talked
protein.
about that before.
Yeah, and the premise of the book is like the big fat secret is that this push like don't eat fatty foods. It's like well, it's the type of fat. Like yeah, don't get like a big greasy like burger, from like fast food joint. It's like but actually burgers are okay to eat as long as you cook them in the right way. But beyond that, it's like you should be eating
Wait,
stuff like cheese or avocado or, some
when
of
you
the things
need
that are
your
high
brain,
that may have high or nuts, like they may have like more fat, but it's also like the good fat,
when
and that fills you
you
up,
need fat
and you
to
don't eat as
function,
much.
like your
You
brain
do need
needs
fat to
fat.
function, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, speaking of vegans, like that's the whole thing with like the human body did evolve, and we got as smart as we are because there are fats and proteins that we get most efficiently from animal proteins. So
And by eating it,
consuming,
there's a
yeah,
certain
consuming other animals, consuming animal products
there's a
such
certain
as
D
dairy, like
vitamin that
milk.
we need that you literally you cannot reproduce it. Like you can't like artificially get it. You have to you have to physically eat like animal meat to get this like specific vitamin.
That and that is a knock. No offense, if you morally do it, I'm not disparaging
No.
that. But like eating, if you eat like a vegan lifestyle, now I would say vegetarian because I mean, vegetarian you can still eat
You
some
can
animal
still
products, but
you still can
yeah,
get fucked. My problem I don't have a problem if you're doing it ethically. My problem is like all of the propaganda documentaries and the trying to trick people and just the straight up lying that they do and the cult like behavior that they have, because if you talk to people that have
yeah,
to stop being vegan, they get a lot of shit for it. And a lot like there's a lot of people like, well, I was gonna die unless I stopped eating vegan, and I get all this shit for it.
yeah. But that's the problem with like vegans. They have to. There's proteins and other things that they can't replicate with that lifestyle, so they have to. They eat a lot of the food they eat is very processed to
Mm-hmm.
include that. They have to eat like weird stuff where it's like, look, your body shouldn't eat this much quinoa,
Yeah, yeah.
just because you need like the protein source, whatever. Or they have to eat
Yeah.
beans or something that's high in carbohydrates. And I love beans, but it's like, they have to eat all these things to replicate. And it's like, well, you could eat all this processed crap, or you could eat a burger every now and again, or
Yeah.
like a nice lean
You
chicken
don't even have to
breast.
do
And
that.
it's like,
Yeah,
if you
because
don't do that ethically, if you don't do it because of ethic reasons, I understand. I'm not judging that, but the lifestyle itself is not very healthy. At least not
no,
the way we in like our society does. I
it's
mean,
not. You're not.
that's
The problem is like it's very difficult to do, and I don't think in general it's healthy. If you don't cop health issues from it, it's because you're lucky. Like the thing that they always lie about in the documentaries that bothers me is like we are omnivores. Like we are omnivores. We were scavengers coming up, which means we ate a scavenger diet, which is what you can get. Um, and they always kind of just pretend like, well, no, you can be a vegetarian. It's like, well, no, like we kind of evolved as an omnivore. Like a
well,
lot of
yeah.
things are omnivores too. Like
Even
chickens are
primates,
omnivores.
even primates that we are like very closely related to. Like chimpanzees or even gorillas. They're like, oh, they're vegetarian. It's like gorillas. Like they've discovered, like no, gorillas will absolutely eat meat. It's rare. Uh, it's more like, oh, they'll just like snack on like ants or something like that.
Yeah.
But they will eat, meat. They'll consume other things. Chimpanzees though, it's like, no, that's a really bad one because chimpanzees absolutely will eat the
And
fuck
they
out of
have
other
and they have
animals. Like
well
they will
and
kill other monkeys and eat them.
they have little
Like,
chimpanzees actually have wars with each other, and then if they
oh,
conquer
there
the
was
other side, they
there
bite
yeah,
their conquered enemy's balls off so they can't reproduce.
Yeah.
Like they're
there
brutal little monsters.
I saw like on social media, like there's one. It's like there's like somewhere in the world where there's chimpanzees. There's like an ongoing war between like two tribes, and it's like violent as shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're monstrous. They're monstrous animals. We think like like the cute little like chimpanzees that you see like on TV sometimes. It's like no, like they're incredibly violent with each other sometimes. Like just
It
the fact that
is
they're
like
goofy.
not making a joke. It is straight up guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. Which the
And
librarian in the Unseen University doesn't understand.
Hmm.
Which they told him, and was that Reaper Man? So the joke is, so the librarian in Unseen University, and like I think the first or second book in Discworld gets turned into an orangutan, and they were doing something in this book the wizards were, and he wanted to help, and they told the orangutan that he didn't understand guerrilla warfare, which I still find hilarious to this day.
Oh yeah. It's well, okay. The in the disc world, the thing you have to remember is that the wizards are really stupid.
And yeah, because they don't go outside, and they're all like addicts. Yeah.
It's the the subplot in the Hogfather about opening up a former I can't remember what the title is, lead wizard or head of the Mystic University or whatever, opening up a former head of the university's personal bathroom, and everyone's like, "You can't do that." You know, do you know what he did? And it's because it had hot showers in it. And they're like, "No, you can't be using that. That's not going to work." And he's like, "Will you get out of my way?"
My other favorite is when they did it was moving pictures when they invented popcorn and they called it banged grain.
Yes.
I always laugh at that. But there's crazy things people do with animals though, because like I don't know where someone was talking about that, but they were acting like greed was like a human emotion. It's like, have you ever had two dogs or two cats and like seen one of them just take a toy or a snack that they don't even want, but they don't want the other dog to have it? And they'll just sit on it and cause all sorts of shit, and
Yeah.
you have to take it away from them.
Yeah.
Or I used to have one that would take the treats and bury them in the yard, and then you just find them later. But
Yeah.
it's like people get some crazy things. But like, so I was gonna say, so pretty much what I do, um, food wise, is so in the morning I get some steel cut oats with a little bit of peanut butter and some frozen dark cherries, which are delicious in it. And then lunch is grilled chicken with some black beans, also delicious. Um, and then dinner is kind of whatever. Usually like some rice and a meat of some sort. That's kind of what I'm doing. And then if I do decide like, oh, it's pizza night, like then I get chicken on it instead of like pepperoni or sausage. You know, the small sacrifice. And I do what Matt does, like, so if I do have a snack, I either have a chewy bar or I have like a string cheese. Yeah, like I said, I've I we really didn't do a lot of aught stuff for a while, so I've kind of been trying to rectify that this year.
Yeah, it's a weird time, and it's a time period where I will also fully admit I had dropped off. Uh, it's this that was the Super Cena era, and there was nothing else. Ring of Honor was
Hard to
not hard to find and not doing fantastically. It was like in, for example, 05, 06, I was mainly watching Impact or TNA, whatever it was at the time. Um,
I was
we
watching so I was watching Impact, but then NWA Anarchy was putting their TV for download, so I was watching like really shitty like 2006 like indie video
Mm.
weekly. It was like I liked the NWA Anarchy a lot. Like they did some. One day I want to do their like war games with the Devil's Rejects versus Team NWA. That's on the it's on like my short to do list. I don't know if you guys will enjoy it because I think like the year plus build up of like them versus everyone is kind of
mm,
important. But I also think too when you go back though, this because a lot of its backstage isn't terrible, but like Matt said, I think it's also hard because when you go and like they're doing like the in arena promos, it's like oh you can't hear shit because like the audio
yeah,
is all
Yeah.
yeah. There were a number of times where somebody is talking, and I basically just kind of sat back and tuned out until they went to something else because I couldn't understand it. A blessed thing, just like Matt
yeah.
could.
And ROH was
Like,
like that
never
for a
mind.
long time. But yeah, I thought this
Yeah,
was I thought this was a strong like feud. I enjoyed it. I kind of want to go find the matches now, and like I was kind of like, maybe I should get that IWTV sub and like watch Chikara from the beginning, because that might be an interesting like journey to take.
I'll be honest with you. The thing that most draws me is I love the idea of uh, just finding some. I need to pick my words correctly for it, but finding some actual funny wrestling stuff, because it feels like there's too many cases where people are like, we're doing comedy. It's like, no, stop it. We're not. No, no. Don't quote do comedy. If you're funny, be funny. But the folks that are like, oh, we're writing, we're going to do a comedy segment. We're going to write it for you. It's like, that's not. No, don't do that. For honest to God, don't. Seriously, don't do that. Because you end up with trying too hard and not, frankly, not being any good at it. So
I think where Chikara excelled is they did comedy, but like the ridiculous gimmick also would play it straight too.
yeah, that's it. They're not winking at the camera and going, "Hey, how funny are we?" They do goofy stuff, and it's fun.
I did like a Fidget used to slide around on his like hands and knees like a snake, and he'd hiss at people in the crowd. That always
Oh yeah,
cracked me up. Um, but yeah, like I think that does help, because I think I run into that with a lot of entertainment now, is like when they won't stop like winking at the camera, or like with a lot of movies now where they do that, where it's like, no, don't worry, you don't have to take it seriously. WWE kind of does that sometimes. They're like, no, you don't worry, don't take this seriously, or think about what you're watching. Like that's where I start losing it with like humor.
what what bothers me is that there are too many cases of people trying to be Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
and they don't understand Robert Downey Jr. is just naturally he's funny. And they think, oh, the clever dialogue is the thing for it. No, 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 no. Stop it. Like Robert Downey Jr. They're trying to be Robert Downey Jr. and or Ryan Reynolds, and that's why that it's not working, because you're not them. You're not funny, and then you're not. You're trying too hard, and in trying too hard, that's going to ruin whatever it was you were doing.
Yeah. I think my one thing where I think I am gonna consider doing it, but I think where I'm worried is like those really early shows, because a lot of these guys are gonna be students. And so those early shows are gonna be rough, because it's gonna be them really early into their careers. The production's gonna be a little rough. So I think that first year or two might be a little difficult. I don't think there'll be like a ton of shows, but I think that's where I always kind of have that. Well, you're kind of gonna grow up with the talent, and like you have to accept that the matches are going to be
Yeah, they're
a
not
work
going
in
to be.
progress.
Yeah, they're you're not. It was like the difference between the Danielson matches that we watched from that era versus the Danielson matches that we got. Uh, what we saw, in the run up to his retirement. Like he is a much more complete person now. He was a much more complete wrestler than he used to be, and so you can't grade them on the same scale because they're not the same thing.
Yeah, it is funny that they did get Bob Saget to do a pre-recorded
Hmm.
bit for them,
Oh,
or an
I
announcement.
didn't remember that.
Yeah, they did one. I think it was the only one, but yeah, he did like announce stuff for them. So I don't, because Mike had talked about they were trying to get he wanted to get like the voice of like Skeletor or something to like
Ah,
do something for him. And they got in touch with him and he said like, yeah, and then he told us what the price would be and it was just not financially feasible even for like very short things because he was like yeah,
Yeah.
to get him to do anything was like 10 grand.
what's a Skeletor?
Yeah, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But he did other stuff like he was a big deal.
Oh yeah, I need to look that up. Who?
'Cause he was in like a ton of shit in the 80s and 70s and into the 90s, I think.
Alan Oppenheimer.
Yep.
Okay, now I gotta look.
He's still alive.
Character
Oh my
roles.
God, he's still alive. 96 years old.
Oh. Uh, Transformers as Beach Bomber and Warpath.
Hmm.
Yep, I remember
And Sea
Warpath.
Spray. He was in Soldier of Fortune, Prometheus, and God of War 2. Voiced Harold in Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Let me see. Mighty Mouse. Ming the Merciless on Flash Gordon. Skeletor, Man at Arms, and Merman in He-Man. The voice of the Primeval in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I knew that one.
Thundar the Barbarian. Vanity on the Smurfs.
Oh,
Um,
I wouldn't have thought of that one.
Falcor, Gamork, the Rockbiter, and the Narrator from the Neverending Story.
Yeah, so
Voice of Merlin.
I can see
Yeah.
why he would cost
Yeah.
chunk of
Why
change.
that would run up.
Yeah.
That could, yeah.
Because even like in that era that Mike was talking about, that would have been like this era. I think like the
Mhm.
early days, because I heard him talk about it in like 2010 or 2011. I'm like, yeah, he was still in demand at the time, so that would have been. I mean, he's still kind of in demand now too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I might do that. I might put like a Chikara show on here at some point, or more matches from there, because I think it would be interesting to do. Because I don't know if I've talked about it much on this show before, but like Chikara's actually no, I did because Dames asked me about it once. Because like I kind of fell out of the fandom after the Benoit murders, like slowly but surely, and there was about
Yeah.
I would say a 3 year period where I just didn't watch anything, and like um I was on a message board or something. Someone had a gif of Chuck Taylor sliding down like a slide on a playground and Ultraman is black, like chopping him.
Hmm.
And I just thought that was hilarious. And then so I figured out what Chikara show that was on and I bought the DVD. And that like slowly got me back in. I was just watching Chikara because that was still in their like really good era. And it was like the lead up to High Noon and the 12 Large Summit tournament, which was named after Larry, in honor of Larry Sweeney, because his elbow that always looked like he was about to like die and kind of would just flop on people was called the 12 Large Elbow, which they mentioned a
I
couple times.
thought that, but then there was one of the angles from one of the matches I watched was like dead on. He was jumping towards it, and I was like, "No, he had that covered." Because as he jumped, you see he's got the arm rotation into it
Yeah.
and the body positioning. It was, it's good stuff.
And but yeah, that's kind of what got me back in was the build up to High Noon. Like High Noon was a really great show, and then in that era, they were doing really great. Like they would get the DVD out like the week of the show sometimes, so like the turnaround was really good. And then Eddie Kingston was like a really good champion. Like into the shutdown angle was really strong, and then the shutdown angle happened, and then they came back, and then it just kind of never quite
They
recaptured
never,
that. Yeah.
they never did. They never
Yeah.
did. And there's a lot of controversy about the shutdown angle
Yeah, I don't
because
know. I don't know. There's rumors floating around about that, about like some infidelity, and like that's what led to it. I don't know I've heard those over and over again, but the problem is I don't necessarily you don't necessarily know if that's true or not. So I don't know.
That to give some backstory, like Chikara was obviously created and run by Mike Quackenbush, and the rumor at the time of the shutdown was that his wife, who had like a real job,
Well, it
I don't
was
know what she was.
also
I think
like
it was
independently wealthy, I think was bankrolling
yeah,
it was kind of the
that whether she was independently wealthy or not, I'm not sure, but
there
that
she
the
had
wife
money
at
though.
least the wife at least was like had a really good paying job, like an accountant or something like that, and that she was the one who was actually bankrolling Chikara,
Yeah. Because it
and
never
that there
cuz
was
he cuz the thing
yeah,
is Michael freely I don't know about the later years, but like he freely admitted like in interviews and stuff like, yeah, this never made money.
really like
Yeah.
I'm sure it probably cost a penny to make, but
He talked about it once because he talked about when they opened it, he thought it was going to be like really big and then it didn't catch on for a long time. And then they did get bigger at the time, but I think it's really hard to make money on stuff like that.
and they again had good production values, so I can see where potentially like things costs added up, the profits get eaten up. I will say like the overall body of work is something to be proud of. Like it Chikara I thought was a really great promotion.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, you know, that he's kind of like a bag of shit.
A
So
contentious
it
figure.
yeah, so that kind of like, you know, kind of kind of sours some things. But overall, like the promotion's good. But yeah, like if you want like a point where things turned south, it was the
There's
shutdown angle, which
there's
I heard the same thing.
still
It's like I heard that the infidelity, so it's like there was a
yeah,
shutdown because the
and
wife, like
I've
the money mark, bowed out. But then I've heard others say like, no, 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 this is just like a storyline angle that he decided to do, and it's like, well, that was just a bad choice of an
yeah,
angle.
cuz I
It was
don't know
never the
where
same after.
I don't know where I fall on that because I could go either way because people would say, well, that's kind of a cope. I'm like, well, no, if like you watch Chikara, like it makes sense that they would actually try that. Like it was a terrible, terrible decision, especially when they did it because they totally cut themselves off at the knees and like they never
Mhm.
like when you're riding a hot hand and like everything you're doing's working, like just stopping that for almost a year is like really
Yeah.
a bad choice.
And it pisses off your fans. Because
And
they're
they
like, where'd you go? What are you doing?
and they had like moments of like decent after the shutdown, but it just never quite it never got there again. Because I'd watch a couple shows and be like, "Oh, you know, that was fun, but it's not like it was." Is kind of what the issue was. And I did like
Not quite the same feel.
and they had some cool things that they did. Like they had so to get a shot at the tag titles, you had to win 3 matches in a row.
Yeah.
And then the tag matches were 2 out of 3 falls because the thing people don't realize is they did not have a singles title because the Young Alliance Cup doesn't count, even though you could put that on the line. But they did not have a singles title until they were like almost 10 years in.
Mhm.
Because it was very lucha libre inspired at the time.
Yeah. It kind of died more into lucha resu kind of, where there was
Yeah,
a little bit of like, you know, puro
yeah,
influence on it, but it was more like a lucha libre style promotion.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's
I
it.
love the whole.
Oh,
I would say generally speaking, I love the King of Trios.
oh yeah, yeah. I think that
What they did.
I almost went
Yeah.
one year and then I didn't. I don't remember why I didn't go because I had like priced it out and like it would have been a bit of a drive, but I think it was only like a 4 or 5 hour drive. I think
And
that was the
they
year
had
Scott
fun with.
Steiner was in it.
Oh yeah, they had fun with it because sometimes you get like that where you'd be like, Los Ice Creams, like that tag, and
Yeah,
they would
Glacier.
they're their tag partner was Glacier because it's like
Yeah.
thematically this works. This team
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
Like,
And then
I think
there's
one time didn't one year they have like Demolition and
yeah,
Red
they did. That was the
Demolition
same year
was
they had Glacier.
yeah.
It was Demolition and One Man
Yeah.
Gang because that has
Oh yeah.
I should have sent it to you. I'll send it to you guys after the show. But Larry Sweeney figures into that because
Mm.
he challenged One Man Gang to a strut off, and so he has them
Mm.
play music, and it starts playing the Akeem music. And it just so happens, I don't know if they did this on the spot because there was a guy that was dressed as Akeem there that like One Man Gang thought was hilarious. And so they're doing that, and they're like, he's over there like, get that guy's hat, because he was dressed like Akeem, and then when it's One Man Gang's turn, he puts the Akeem hat on, he starts doing the Akeem dance, and it just got like a huge pop. But
Yeah.
it's
They had a lot of fun with the King of Strats.
well, they had Kaiju Big Battle came that year because
Mm.
for a while there was some falling out later, but like Dr. Cube would pop up here and there
Yeah.
because he would help Ultramantis Black here and there.
Mhm.
If you don't know what Kaiju Big Battle is, it was a promotion where they'd put buildings in the ring and then they'd wrestle because they were kaiju.
Yes.
And there was like
Yes.
the Burger Bear, I think, which was just like a cheeseburger with like bear limbs.
I have used
Like
Kaiju
bear-
Big Battle as a gateway drug into wrestling for some people.
It's sadly there's
So-
not a ton of it out there,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I thought it was fun. But yeah, that's that feud. Like I said, it's on YouTube. It's easy to find. You can go watch it for yourself. I'd highly recommend it. I think it's a worthwhile view, and I think when I was looking at it in hindsight, I'm like, this might be like I might have to think through like my favorite stuff of the aughts because I think this would place, I think, in there.
You had two really talented guys like doing stuff, and
With some free reign.
Yeah.
To do.
with free reign, yeah, and you don't quite get the matches because they're clipped, but it does make me actually want to like hunt out some of those matches and see because I'm sure I would wager
it tells
forget-
you it tells you the date in the show that these are on too if you want
Yeah.
to go hunting.
forget the whole nonsense of like star ratings and all that. Just would these matches be entertaining? Like, and I feel like higher than an average chance that
They have
several of these
you have
matches would actually be
investment in them
entertaining.
too, I think.
Yeah.
I believe the phrase I would go with is, are these engaging? Because it's very easy to get lost in like good.
I feel like I would be shocked if they were not. Like I can't recall seeing one of these matches specifically, but I would doubt that it's not engaging. Because I feel like these are really two very dynamic personalities, and I think that what we saw, like they did the most of what they could with this.
Yeah. And then so in regular news there wasn't much this week. They haven't released any viewership numbers on the UFC 250 thing, which was a interesting event to watch. But I expect that was successful. It seemed it was well received. It got a lot of attention. It was mostly positive.
It's
WWE would have probably crashed and burned in that same situation because they wouldn't have done, because like what they did with this is like they gave the fans what they wanted. They gave them fights. They did a lot of matches with guys that were going to knock each other out. They got some cool KOs. A fan favorite won the title after coming up short for like a decade in the main event. Like, so it worked out well for them.
I think that they kind of, it will probably get lost and no one will think about it, but they did themselves a disservice beforehand because they were hyping shit up where they're like, more people are going to watch this event than the Super
that
Bowl.
was
It's like,
stupid.
there's no chance. And I think that Dana White and maybe I think even like they even got Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, to like say this. It's like, oh, we were anticipating it's going to be a billion views worldwide. It's like there's no chance that that's happening. There's absolutely no chance. You're not even going to get Super Bowl numbers, which is
No,
far,
but
far,
I don't think they
far
have
less
enough.
than that.
I don't think they
Oh,
have enough
yeah.
subscribers, but they could. I mean, I think if they get like 10 million, that's a big win for them. I know they had 4,000 people in attendance, but I think they said there were about 200,000 people that went to like watch parties in the area that came in for like the convention and stuff. So I think um that did pretty well. I think they I think they did pretty well because they didn't overthink it. Like I think if it had been like a company like WWE, they would have just had like 3 matches and made you sit through commercials and shit for like 3 hours. And like, because like to me, it's always like, because I was sitting there thinking like, why is it that like UFC gets the shit right when they're in this position and wrestling always screws it up? Is kind of like what I was asking myself. Like, why is it that they understand like you're there for fighting and like so they give you the fights, whereas like other companies would be like, well, no, we have all this attention, we have to subvert their expectations, or like do some stupid thing to like that only wrestling would do that's gonna make people feel cheated and not come back.
Yeah, the WWE has this weird thing where it's like, oh, like we can't like a lot of people like there's a lot of eyes on us, like we can't give them what they want because then they I think I almost feel like it's a mentality. It's like, well, we can't give them what they want because if we do, they're not going to want to come back. And it's like, well, no, but you should. Like you
Yeah.
should actually give people what if like it abnormally people who are not going to be looking at your product normally are going to be looking at your product because you're in this special environment. It's like actually give them what they want. Because then those people are like, oh yeah, man, like this is cool. Yeah, like maybe I'll start watching this. Like, you know,
Or if you're a Laps
like
fan,
I
like
wanted that guy to win. He won. Like,
yeah.
yeah, like maybe let me check it out. It's like, yeah, that's what you do. That's how you make fans. You don't be like, ah, fuck you, shit on you. Like your favorite didn't win, right? Ha, that's good. You get to
Yeah.
watch next time. No, they're not gonna watch
Because
again.
like
No.
this show's a
Like,
great example. Like if you were a Laps fan and you came back, you would remember uh, Gagey, and he won the title, and you might be like, "Oh, I want to watch his next title defense because I want to see what happens." Like
mm,
it, like because even watching this, I was like, I mean, I've been watching more this year, but I'm like, oh yeah, like a casual or whatever would want to come back after this show because they did a good show. And I was just like, why does wrestling like? Because TNA always fucked this up too for
mhm.
those first impressions. It's like, I just want to know like why can't wrestling
Because
do
they have
this?
this idea that if we piss the fans off, we get heat and they're going to come back to see something. Missing the point that you have to make the fans happy also in order to get them to come back. Because we're like, oh, if we don't do that, think of the heat. And it's like, no, that's not heat. That's people just turning it off and not coming back. Um, this idea that's like, well, if he doesn't win here, then you can come back and watch him win later. It's like, no, don't care. You know what? I wanted to see him win here. I didn't get that. I'm done. I'm not watching you anymore. I got so burned out on seeing them screw up with people who should have been a big deal much earlier and them not following up on it that I can't watch it anymore.
Yeah,
The inability to capitalize whenever something is ready to go because like, oh, well, think of the heat. It's like, no,
there
fuck you. I'm done.
there was someone that Meltzer quoted today because they were going on about the show and they were like trying to say the fights were fixed, and Meltzer was like, "What evidence do you have that this was fixed?" And I really wanted to respond to the guy, and I'm like, "Okay, so if you think this is fixed, why did like all but one American get absolutely obliterated into orbit on this show?" if they were
Mhm.
fixing it, they would have the Americans winning on the White House show instead of getting like sent to the Shadow Realm over and
Hmm.
over and over and
Well,
over again. And they would have had Alex Pereira win because that's their biggest
how
star.
can I put this? Somebody from the hosting body messaged one of the fighters to ask if the fights were fixed or not.
See, I was,
Oh, I saw that.
yeah, I
I
did
saw
too, but
that.
I was kind of like, and he deleted that, and I was like, but my thing was like, well, is that even, because like the problem in this day and age was like, well, is that even like a real person that sent him to that, or was that like someone fucking around with like a fake account or like a
Brad,
scammer?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Given the track record that particular group of people has, I find it far more likely that they're fucking morons than
Oh,
someone
Yeah,
if it
playing a
was an
prank.
athletic commission person, I would say like, yeah, they're just that
I
stupid.
I 100% believe that was legit. And the thing is, like that, yeah, like the tweet got deleted, and then we're talking in vague terms, but and then this person then, it's one of those things where it's the classic Shakespeare line, like methinks the lady doth protest too much. It's like whenever people like go a little too hard, like defending it, I feel like, well, if I wasn't suspicious now I
Hmm.
am, because you're really like something that I would be like shrug my shoulders at the fact that you're going this hard. Like this person, like the tweet got deleted. This person's like, oh, well, I have to comment. You don't actually. You commented makes it look more suspicious. Clearly someone was posting AI generated fake tweets. It's like when was like the excuse. It's like, yeah, you totally did
I
that shit.
Someone
The fact
I
that
would
someone
you're
who
say
throwing
is
out like
explaining
AI generated, it's like
I
no, no, no,
I would
no.
say I would
what's the phrase
That
I
say
didn't
heard?
happen.
Someone who's explaining too much has lost.
I would say
Yes.
If it
though,
was fake, just say,
yeah.
look, I don't know where that came from. It was fake, and go on with life. But then you have to start justifying it and over explaining it.
I
Nah,
will
you've
say
Yes.
I will
Like, I
say
guess you got that
I will
wasn't me.
say
I think
it
you got trolled, bro.
I will say
Like, yeah.
I will say to me though, it getting deleted is not that suspicious to me because even if I was running like something and everything was on the up and up and like one of my commentators posted that, I'd be calling them being like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like get rid of it." Cuz but like
well, because this is a group that you're trying to have a good relationship with,
well, it's
and be
I
also
like,
mean,
it's
take
also
that
but
down.
it's also like but for me, if like like I said, if everything is on the up, I'm like, why would you even put anything out there that would even insinuate a little bit that this could possibly be corrupt? Like that's also part of like why I would say like, why the fuck did you post that? But no, like I don't know. The person saying they thought the fights were fixed was so stupid because it's like, well, no, because they wouldn't have they wouldn't have had the Americans losing. But I do think the main event was hilarious though because so do we need to talk about the most humiliating loss in UFC history?
I
Because
didn't watch it, so
okay,
I don't
so
really have an opinion on it.
well, it's for stuff outside of it. So the guy that was the champion, he put eight. He was 17-0 going to this, but he put 18-0 before that. He tattooed the guy's name on his body with his name crossed out. And he did something else, and then he lost. And he lost badly. I don't know if you saw his face afterwards, but he got mauled
he got brutalized.
because
Yeah.
because they well I had to find it, but it's in our Discord, but like he got kneed so bad in the side that probably broke some ribs. And then someone posted some sounds of him getting punched right in the face and said, "Yeah, that's the sound of an orbital bone breaking." So,
Oh,
um,
his face got
two black
destroyed, and
eyes
then they, I think they like threw in the towel like in
at the end
between
of
the
the fourth.
rounds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and people like were giving him shit about that. It's like no, 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 no. Like, look, if you're someone's corner man, you're on their team, it's like you need to also be smart. What is this mentality? It's like go out there and like have your life like
Yeah.
potentially end. Like they have to be like make an assessment and be like, is it really safe and healthy for this guy to continue? And I would argue like no, they made the right call. Like it was not healthy. He probably did have a bad rib
He went to the
injury, and his face
hospital.
was messed up. His face was visibly messed up.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's no utility. Like, yeah, obviously, it's like it sucks to
They took
lose, but
him they took him straight to the back into the hospital after that. And also on top of that, so they did that after the fourth. After the third, the doctor almost stopped it too,
yeah,
because he was getting wrecked. But see, the thing is, like, his corner stopped it, and I wouldn't give him shit for that. There is the only time I gave someone shit for quitting was a show I went to, and it was obvious that he just got beat because like he was fine to go and he like was looking for like every excuse on the stool to get them to stop it. And
If
it
you
was
don't, if your corner's not willing to throw in the towel for you, why do you have a corner?
yeah, because that's why your corner's there is they need to make because this is what I say about pro athletes, and this is why you have a corner. Is people always say, like in other sports, like, well, he said he was fine to play. It's like, yes, because you need to treat athletes like they're addicts because they're always going to say they can play and they can keep going. That's why the coaches and your trainers need to be the adults in the room and say, like, no, you're done. But he went, but
Yeah,
like when they stopped it, like he was just like, he just went back and his head was just like down. And like you could
yeah,
tell he was just
like
done.
yeah, they made the right call because at the end of the day, like you need to protect, I well, really potentially someone's future career, like if they could actually fight again in the future.
And
But
he's
also their health, like they're human beings. Like you should be like, no, no, no. Like I can't send you out there again. Like you're already messed up. Like
and
you could get hurt even worse.
he's already in because people are kind of saying that, and I don't know if I disagree, but some people are already saying like, well, he took a beating that a lot of fighters never come back all the way from.
Like psychologically or
Yeah,
physically or
it's
both.
like, well, both, because sometimes he didn't get knocked out, but like there are guys kind of happen to Chuck a bit, but there's some guys like once they catch that first like bad knockout, they never recover. It's like once you get your chin cracked, sometimes guys never recover from that.
Yeah.
well, you're gonna have PTSD from getting your ass beat too.
Yeah.
Like if you're in there and it's back and forth, that's one thing. But just getting utterly wrecked, that gets in your head.
And I think you do get like gun shy, especially after you get knocked out, because instead of being like, oh, I'll bang, now it's like, oh man, am I gonna get my lights put out again? Because I have to imagine getting. I mean, he didn't get knocked out, but I have to imagine like getting KO'd is scary.
I've been knocked stupid. I haven't been KO'd. But to go from, okay, we're doing this to all of a sudden the world is spinning and my body's not working properly freaks you out.
Yeah.
It should freak you out because that's not good. Like then you've sustained something of a neurological injury. Like it could be
Oh, that
very, very minor, but it's also like, it's not good. Like doesn't
yeah,
necessarily
I
mean
was
like
12 or 13 for that one, so
yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean long-term damage, but it's also like it's not ideal. Uh,
Like I think
actually I
Rousey.
probably took the time to recover from that one properly.
I don't think Ronda has ever been the same since Holm knocked her out.
Probably not.
no, psychologically, like she was kind of done after that.
Well, the problem is though, I'm gonna defend her. Don't watch it because it's fucking brutal. But like when she did the Nunez fight, like I've never seen someone get hit as hard as like Nunez was unloading on her. Like she didn't go down, but the ref should have stopped it like way earlier than he did because she was like just like after the first punch, it was just over. Because if you've never seen Amanda Nunez fight, like sometimes, especially in MMA, sometimes, and you would see this with Nunez, like someone starts throwing on someone and they punch so hard, even like a seasoned fighter's like, holy shit, I've never had someone hit me this hard before, and they just like, it's
Mm.
over. It just breaks them like
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah.
If I grain of salt, but I also think I remember an interview where Rousey said that if she got hit hard enough, basically she lost sight in the middle of her field of vision,
Yeah.
and she would have to like turn her head to be able to see. And it's just like that's called a warning sign. That's
Like,
when you hang the gloves up, because that's.
she was also working with that quack and was surrounded by yes men at the time that wouldn't just tell her like, no, you literally can't box for shit. Like, you need to not try. Because she's a shit boxer. Like, a really shit boxer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I Meltzer guessed between 9 million and 17 million for this, which I think
Views?
probably,
Like,
yeah, views.
speaking of, since you mentioned like stopping a fighter, like Alex Pereira lost and afterwards blasted Herb Dean
Oh, he got
for not stopping the fight when he should have, which is like, well, that sounds like a very Herb Dean.
That's what I was gonna say. If you were a
thing.
lapsed fan, like, it had everything you'd want, like Herb Dean just letting someone get murdered. Because what happened is, well, I knew he was fucked going in, because so he would fight at light heavyweight and he weighed in for 250 for this. I'm like, oh dude, you're fucked. Like, that is a lot
Yeah.
of extra weight. But he was getting like elbowed in the head, like, just repeatedly, and Herb Dean was just like, nah, he's not dead yet. And it went on probably a good 20 seconds. I posted that in the Discord too. Don't watch that because it's a guy getting elbowed in the head repeatedly. But yeah, he just was sitting there like, because you see it, not that one, but like, I've seen fights before it's happened with him before, but other refs where literally someone will be knocked out and the guy punched him will like be looking at the ref like, can I stop? Like, please? Like, he's out.
Yeah.
The opponent shows a little more restraint.
No, you see it all the time because they'll just be like, can I stop, please? Like,
Are you sure about this?
yeah, because people get mad when they jump on them and like keep punching them. Like, well, like, honestly though, like, I get why they do it, because I've literally seen fights where a guy gets knocked out and he hits the mat, and hitting the mat like wakes him up and he's good to go again because he came back.
Mm.
And there's other things like where they'll let it go, and it's like, when they start turtling and they're letting it go, it's just like, no, like, if they're turtling, they're not defending themselves logically anymore.
I think, do I remember correctly, the phrase was active defense?
Yeah, but like, there's times where guys are kind of doing stuff, but like, I don't know, I guess like if you watched enough, which a ref should, like, you can tell by body language when a guy's done.
Yeah.
But it was a fun event. I don't know. There was some good brawling, but I like my MMA still. But I thought I'd talk about it because we talked about the MVP thing, and this is probably the most notable thing. I will not be talking about the Conor fight just because I fucking hate Conor. He's a piece of shit. European white trash, I believe, is what he is. But I was laughing. Did you see Floyd Mayweather got arrested and he's getting charged with felonies for passing bad checks?
No.
That just came out because he's broke.
Okay, I need to phrase this differently. I don't understand how you could bring in as much money as someone like he did and piss all of it away. Like, that is, to me, that is paradoxical with the level of irresponsibility that goes with it.
Well, I mean, I'll say like his love of beating women probably wasn't a cheap hobby to have.
Oh, okay. the what goes around comes around then.
Didn't he
But
get like
it is still to me just staggering
didn't he
for
do
that to be
time
the
for
decision.
like beating the shit out of his dad too?
I don't know that detail.
He's always in trouble for something. And I imagine I imagine when you're someone like him and you're like an athlete, like there's probably people stealing from you left and right. Like in your management team that are stealing like 50,000 here and
Mm.
stuff because when you're bringing in
Yeah.
that much
Okay.
money, they're skimming money off the top. And as I've learned from like it's a really great 30 for 30 documentary. I think it's called Broke, but it's about athletes. It talks about how a lot of them go broke essentially.
Yeah, because they they never learned it, and nobody.
Or if you're
Yeah.
Jack Johnson in the NHL, your parents steal all your fucking money. I don't know if you guys know that story, but that one's horrible. But yeah, his parents like stole all of his money, essentially.
Mm. I mean, hell, that kind of happened to Macaulay Culkin. So
Gary Coleman's parents like rob him blind too? Well, they made laws
Yeah.
off of Gary Coleman, I think.
yeah,
Because Urkel's parents did right by him, so but yeah, that is it for this week. Do not know what we're doing next week. I'll dig around. Maybe I can find some other fun little tidbit of something. I need to find more of these because I like them for the show when people go to the trouble of making these edited "This is the feud" videos. Like those are really good because we did that for Final Conflict, and I really enjoyed it. And I saw another one, and I was kind of interested, but I can't remember what it was.
yeah.
There's kind of what I kind of want to do. It's Carlos Colon versus Stan Hansen, but it's not gonna. A lot of it's not going to be in English, so I kind of shied away. But
Yeah, that's not gonna.
But that is it for this week. Thank you for joining us as always. This has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. We've been in 3 Corners, and you've been in the 4th.